Controls, check. Flight instruments, check.
As the return of the warm weather signals the start of fire season, in Montana, these air tanker pilots perform their signature feat of aerial precision, taking to the skies to stop wildfires in their tracks. In the coming months, they'll fly dozens of missions, dropping thousands of gallons of fire retardant on wildfires across the country. So far this year, wildfires have burned almost 2.5 million acres, nearly 2 times the average of the last 10 years. But as fires grow more complex, so does the response, from satellites in space to mobile firefighting bases on the ground.
We used to have fire seasons, right? Now we have what we call fire years.
And many of the largest and most destructive wildfire years on record in the U.S. have occurred in the last 2 decades. Last year, the deadly Los Angeles wildfires causing an estimated $61 billion in damages, making 2025 the costliest year on record. The key to stopping them, early detection and rapid response.
There's a period of time that can be several days where the fire is invisible to all the stakeholders except satellites. And once the fire takes off and is visible, it's usually too late.
Munich-based Aurora Tech is taking fire spotting into the space age, building satellites to detect small fires before they grow out of control. Then the platform uses weather patterns, vegetation maps, and other data to predict where it could spread.
This allows responders in the ground to make operational decisions so they can decide to avoid the fire, change the containment strategy, position the mitigations in different ways.
Once a fire is detected, responders have to coordinate aircraft, crews, and equipment across multiple agencies.
It's all about that initial attack component and being able to put assets onto a fire as soon as possible.
That's where Track Plus comes in, as a sort of all-in-one air traffic control for firefighters.
What we do is able to present information to the dispatchers in order to show where the fire location is, which aircraft are available to respond, and what the capabilities of those aircraft are.
With a plan in place, crews on the ground and in the air now need large amounts of fire retardant. Perimeter Solutions, a leading supplier of fire suppression agents in the U.S., says those new tools are key.
That allows us to pre-position our equipment to make sure we're ready before the fire gets there.
Perimeter has also developed a fleet of trucks that can quickly transform into a firefighting base.
And what that allows the operators to do is bring in helicopters or even fixed wing aircraft to be able to load closer to the fire, improve their turnarounds, and improve the speed of being able to operate and attack the fire.
And all that work, the technology, the preps for this moment.
We suited up for a practice flight with Neptune Aviation, a private aerial firefighting company, to see how it all comes together. When the call comes in, these pilots have to be airborne in 15 minutes.
It's wild.
With a tanker loaded with 3,000 gallons of retardant.
So this is what an airdrop is like. We're going down about 150 feet. All of a sudden, they turn the brakes down. They slow down the speed. They get right over top of their target, and then they let go.
Never get dicey when you do that. Yeah, turbulence, and, you have to be a pretty decent mountain flying pilot. If it does feel dicey, you're probably doing something wrong. I like to say it's as dangerous as you make it.
As dangerous as you make it.
To fight a major wildfire, these pilots might repeat this process up to 15 times in a single day. Neptune's pilots were among those that battled the wildfires in Los Angeles.
Must have been pretty tough.
Yes, we were at all of those fires, but just the pure devastation of it all. It's hard to watch, but to know that we're a part of helping is a good feeling.
Neptune President Jennifer Drawn says the fires underscored the need for better tools.
If we can predict the behavior with all this new technology, we can then have more information, more tools in our toolbox to do what we need to do, right?
Cutting-edge tech paired with skilled pilots driven by purpose.
They are heroes in the sky. They're so humble. They don't think of themselves that way, but I do.
Steve Patterson, NBC News.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.